there was a web creature in Mainframe. The Guardians tried to destroy the system to prevent its escape, but Bob stopped that from happening. Unfortunately, the web creature used a tear created in the explosion to open a portal to the web. It stands above the city now, a terrible sight to behold. A Mainframe united against a common enemy now goes to war against these terrible invaders. This is going to be a ride. Hold on tight.
Scramble.
Let's go! Let's go!
Scramble.
Good luck!
Scramble. Scramble.
Web World Wars was written by Mark Laren-Yun, with story by Mark Laren-Yun, Brendan McCarthy, Phil Mitchell, Ian Pearson, and Susan Turner. The main cast includes Michael Benier as Bob, Kathleen Barr as Dot, Matthew Sinclair in his final appearance as Enzo, Tony J as Megabyte, Shirley Milner as Hexadecimal, Andrea Limman as Andrea, Louise Valance as Mouse, Michael Donovan as Fawn, Scott McNeil as Hack, and Gary Chalk as Slash. All of Mainframe is on high alert, and every CPU is in the sky, ready for whatever the web might throw at the system. Bob is zipping around in the air, making sure everyone is ready to go. We see Fawn in a command room inside the principal office. We see Enzo and Andrea manning gun turrets on the outside of the office structure. And we see Megabyte building some sort of large cannon, amongst many other things. The air is abuzz with tension, as tiny web creatures, scouts, zip in and out around the anxious police binomes awaiting them. They're given strict orders not to fire until they have to. Bob heads to the tour to see how Megabyte is doing, and finds that Fawn is on a vid window call, refusing to give Megabyte the software he needs to make his device work. Bob reminds Fawn that they need everyone on deck for this, and tells him to get over his hostility, at least for now. Basically, Megabyte has constructed a laser which will fire a pulse to close the portal, and Hexadecimal will serve as the battery for it. Bob tells Megabyte to be ready, and flies away.
I trust you were listening.
Yes, of course. I love the way you and Bob work together. It'll be a shame to split up such a winning team.
Hexadecimal, you know the plan.
Which one? There seem to be several. Oh, it's finished! What a lovely toy. Where do I sit?
Oh dear. Bob has got a nasty surprise in store, I'd say. But desperate times call for desperate measures. In the next scene, Mouse and Dot are in the armory suiting up. Mouse hates the idea of working with viruses, and is still feeling bitter about being double-crossed by the Guardians as well. Dot reminds her that if Mainframe gets screwed over, the viruses go down too, so they will behave. Sure they will, Dot. Sure they will. Mouse's role is to hack the codes to the web, and so that once the portal is sealed, the web can't get back to Mainframe. Dot's role? To protect Mouse, as she brings a huge minigun-like plasma cannon with which to do it. It's absurd, but cool, so it gets a pass. The next scene brings us to Enzo and Andrea, and Enzo mentions that he's never seen Bob so serious. Andrea makes a comment about you Guardians, and Enzo feels it might be time to come clean about not actually being one. Cue Bob.
Due to the current crisis we're all facing, I am invoking emergency code 9510. Enzo, give me your icon.
Okay.
Command line, icon. Download Guardian Protocol to version 1.0. Enzo Matrix, there is a huge responsibility in taking the Guardian badge of office. Do you accept?
Yes, sir.
By the power vested in me, I give you a field commission as Guardian. First level.
This is one of the most legitimately triumphant and feel-good scenes the season has had. Bob does the coolest and most fatherly thing he could have done. Demonstrated trust in Enzo and gives him authority, however limited. It really does feel like the coming of age moment. Before Bob zips off, he promises that when the conflict is over, he'll make sure Enzo is transferred to the supercomputer and attends the academy. He also charges Enzo with protection of the system in case anything ever happens to him. Meanwhile, Mouse, Dot, Megabyte, Hexadecimal, and Air Doctor travel towards the portal on a hovering platform with the cannon on it. Mouse begins doing her work to gain the closure codes. She tells Megabyte, after some probing, that she's not just closing the portal, she's erasing Mainframe's location from the web. Interesting. Meanwhile, the CPU forces continue getting antsy as the scout creatures continue to sniff around, and one gets a little too close for comfort.
I think someone just cracked her.
As Binky stated, one snapped, and the rest of the scouts make a beeline back to the portal. Bob orders them stopped because otherwise they will summon an attack force. There's some really cool aerial action scenes here, as the visual wizards that make this show work show off some great angles and pan shots, with a great soundtrack to boot. Sadly, 2 of the scouts make it back and the attack creatures come in, and they are substantially more dangerous.
Okay, people, it's a whole new ball game. We've got to close that portal!
Again, there are some great action scenes here. The CPUs go to work in destroying these eel-like creatures, attempting to keep them away from both the principal office and the cannon. These creatures are pretty hardy, and with a few exceptions, the police force is out of their league. They do keep them at bay at first, thanks to pure attrition, but creatures continue to pour into the system, and the tide begins to turn. The battle starts swaying the other way, and things continue to get intense and stressful, as the CPU force starts to get thinned out a little bit. If it gets any more intense, I'm going to explode. This is a terrific rollercoaster ride of an episode thus far. As the web invasion force gets more and more threatening, they start going after the hardware. Dot defends it the best she can with her super gun, but they need backup. Bob contacts Megabyte over glitch and tells him to summon reinforcements. Yeah, I hope you haven't forgotten Megabyte has a huge army at his command, because here they come. Immediately, we see the higher firepower, competency, and coordination of the ABC forces as they effortlessly start to destroy the creatures. With the pressure alleviated, Mouse puts the finishing touches on her hacking task, and the weapon is ready to fire and close the portal. Victory is near, and Bob informs everyone to prepare to wrap this up. But Megabyte has one last terrible, treacherous card to play. I should note here that this is the final appearance of Michael Benier in a regular episode. Goodbye, Bob.
Now! No time to talk now, Bob. Launch!
One more step, and I'll subdivide you. What?
They did it. They went for the gut punch. The status quo is shattered irrevocably. How easy it would have been to just defeat the web creatures and ended on a high triumphant note. But then it wouldn't be remembered the way it is. This is ReBoot, continuing to push the story forward and do something new and different. Let's circle back to this at the end. We've still got some more story to go. Dot is frozen in stunned silence at what has happened, but Mouse, acting quickly, gets her and Dot away from the viruses. Megabyte lets them flee, as he is confident their days are numbered. He then orders his combat units to finish off what's left of the web creatures, and then turn their attention to the CPU forces. The CPU forces soon find themselves under fire, and are pulverized. Binky the butler says, "It's the ABCs! They've turned on us!" "Treacherous dogs," replies Sir. This is a clever line, and a long-time sleeper joke. ABC was the American network that broadcast ReBoot in the United States. And at the end of Season 2, they cancelled the series. As far as the creators of the show were concerned, the future was very uncertain. Isn't that ridiculous? ReBoot put ABC at number 1 in the States. Whatever. Moving on. Dot returns to the principal office, handing Enzo Bob's damaged key tool and simply saying, "I'm sorry." The message rings loudly for all present. Megabyte and Hexadecimal appear in a vid window to gloat and demand the surrender of the system, stating that their guardian is lost.
We'll fight you to the last, Megabyte.
You have no defenses, you fools. Your guardian is lost. Nothing can stand in our way. Mainframe is ours.
Wrong! We do have a guardian. Guardian, your key tool. Remember what Bob said.
I am Guardian Matrix, charged with defending this system. 2 viruses take over my home? I don't think so!
White TV would swoop in and fund ReBoot for its triumphant return in August of 1997, as ReBoot would begin its 3rd season, and would have an incredible upgrade, not only to the maturity and atmosphere of its narrative, but also a huge technical upgrade, as the show will look even more beautiful. But with that excitement also comes melancholy. An era has ended. The story will look very different without the exploits of Guardian Bob. But that's what a terrific narrative does. It grows and changes, and isn't afraid to reflect a real-world truth. This too shall pass. The intro will change. Enzo now has the Guardian Protocol, and the torch passed from Bob, and Megabyte has more power than ever. But one thing will remain the same. ReBoot's incredible storytelling prowess. How could this get anything but a score of 3 fedoras?